I will give this example. I keep saying that, think of a Chettiar girl getting married to a Punjabi boy, right? Both of them were just studying in IIT Delhi. Both of them liked each other and wanted to get married. Now, this marriage to fructify is very difficult because you have two different cultures trying to come together. And that's why sometimes you need a Pandit or a mature person who can bring these two parties together. So UB actually play the role of that Pandit, because you have bank at one side, which is a Punjabi boy, and you have an NBFC, which is a Chettiar girl, and UB actually does the work of intermediation. For NBFCs to go and integrate with a bank directly and, do all of that is kind of impossible, because the degree and the variance and the difference is too big. Think of an SBI, which is a 55 lakh crore bank, versus a small NBFC like U GRO, which is at 10,000, 9,000 odd crore. For us to directly do with the bank is kind of impossible. And the amount of investment in technology, in integration, bringing these two parties together is an enormous task. So UB play that role, not just for us, actually for whole industry, wherein it is creating that platform wherein banks would get integrated on one side and multiple NBFC would integrate on the other side. The expansion of credit for priority sector is happening because I call UB as a market infrastructure. Because of this market infrastructure coming and building that resilient platform on which people can operate. It is like a stock exchange, right? People can buy shares with each other directly as well. But because you have a market infrastructure of a stock exchange, that's why capital market grows. So UB kind of platforms are that market infrastructure which is bringing these two very different types of parties together, and this getting two people to live happily ever after. There are two kinds of institutions in India. First are the trust institutions, which are bank. You and I go and deposit money in a bank because we feel that bank would always return that money. And that's why banks are predominantly the custodial of our money. But when it comes to providing the credit, banks have many things to do, right? And not necessarily they do the credit in the same focused manner for certain product and categories. And that's why NBFC exists. And that's where I think so there was a point in time that it was believed that for deserving sector or underserved sector, which you call priority sector, banks and NBFC have to come together. There is a broad brush view which are taken about NBFC. So there are very large NBFC which are in consumer financing, personal loan, real estate credit. And there are NBFC which are only focusing on the underserved market. There is little bit of credence and favorable policy push has to be created for NBFC which are only doing priority sector lending, whether it is MSME, whether it's agri, whether it is other segment of the market. It is the same way how the housing finance has been done. So housing finance became a category, MFI became a category. That's why bank lending to housing and MFI actually was done at a preferential pricing and at a preferential rate. What we are saying that NBFC which are in priority sector should be recognized separately, and there is a favorable ecosystem to be created, because India needs employment. Employment would happen through small businesses across tier 3, tier 4 town, and it would happen on the back of the credit. So unless the entire ecosystem doesn't support that, we would be in a problem. So what we expect from regulators and the government more is to give recognition to NBFC which are in priority sector and treat them at a favorable term. We genuinely, and everyone genuinely believe that banks and NBFC partnership on co-lending is win-win for all, because it ultimately benefits the end customer. Bank's cost of liability and massive liability infrastructure, NBFC's credit origination engine and collection infrastructure provides a credit at a reasonable rate to the end customer, which can be an MSME or an agri customer or a housing or a microfinance customer. Now, the biggest difference is these two cultural aspects. The way NBFC do business versus the way the banks do business, this is yet to come together. Banks have to gradually adapt to, NBFC's credit culture, and to some extent NBFC have to adapt to banks' credit methodology and their infrastructure. And technology has to play a role. Going from 1 lakh crore to 10 lakh crore require some systematic push. I think so there is a degree of, questioning that whether co-lending is sustainable, whether regulators like it. I think so everyone, whether the government, the regulator, the banking system and NBFC, all have to say this is good for the country, and this need to be expanded. And that's why everyone has to come together and make sure that this get expanded. I am always often asked this question, oh, but banks should do credit on their own. Why they should outsource credit and do it through NBFC? Definitely banks should do credit on their own. But banks can do credit for many other things as well, right? So there is infra, there is large corporate sector, there is this. If there are unique or niche NBFC which are doing good job for the particular customer type, banks should benefit from that. And actually on the economic terms basis, actually it's a very good way to generate portfolio. And more importantly, your money and my money which is deposited into the bank, how do we get benefit of that to an end customer? Co-lending is a great example of that. So I think so it is continuous effort and conviction that co-lending is here to stay and we have to grow it is what would grow it.